The content on the Untold Tales channel is protected by copyright. Unauthorized use may result in legal liability. I was sitting in my office, reviewing the blueprints of a new project. The day was drawing to a close. The twilight thickened outside the window, and the air was filled with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Inside, everything was usual. A dark oak desk, a leather chair, neatly stacked folders with documents. The silence was only broken by the hum of the air conditioner. I always loved this moment, when the workday was about to end and an evening with my family awaited. My name is Andrew Hunt, but everyone calls me Drew. 40 years old, a former Special Forces operative. I spent many years in hot spots until I finally decided I had had enough. Now, I am in construction. I design houses, create strong walls behind which people feel safe. Perhaps there is something symbolic in that. After years spent among destruction, I became one who builds. I never considered myself attractive, but I looked imposing, tall, broad-shouldered, with strong hands toughened by years of physical labor. Dark hair with the first hints of gray, a short stubble, and eyes, cold blue, piercing like those of a hunter. Sarah always said there was something dangerous in my gaze, even when I smiled. Sarah, my wife, with whom we had lived for 17 years. A beautiful, stately woman with insightful brown eyes and always impeccable makeup. Her dark hair was always styled, and her clothing was chosen with perfect taste. She is a lawyer, strong, confident, accustomed to keeping everything under control. I always admired her mind, her confidence. We were different, but somehow we managed to balance between my harsh pragmatism and her ambitions. But the most important person in my life was always my daughter, Emily. 14 years old, blonde, with bright gray-green eyes full of life and curiosity. Slender, with the light grace of a teenager who has not yet fully realized her beauty. She loved to draw, could sit for hours with her album, creating her little masterpieces. I loved to watch her smile, laugh, talking about her plans. I looked at the clock. It was time to get going. I already imagined how I would enter the house, hear Emily's familiar voice. Dad, I've drawn something, look. Or Dad, you're too serious today, working too much again. But all plans scattered to dust the moment the office door burst open. Emily, she stood on the threshold, out of breath, with disheveled hair, panic in her eyes. Tears streaked her cheeks, and bruises were visible on her skin. Dad, her voice trembled, and my heart clenched with pain. Mom's friend. He came into my room while I was sleeping. The world narrowed to a single point. I rose from my chair, feeling a slow, sure fire igniting in my chest. I slowly walked around the desk, approaching her, trying not to show how much my hands were shaking. What did you say? My voice was quiet, but there was something in it that made Emily flinch. She stood, clenching her fists with a cracked lower lip. Someone had hit her, but someone was still breathing. Her voice broke, she sobbed, and for the first time in her life, I saw not just fear in her eyes, terror. I knelt before her, taking her cold, trembling hands. Emily, you're safe. Look at me. Tell everything. She nodded convulsively, swallowing hard. I was sleeping. The door was closed, but suddenly it opened. I heard someone enter. I thought it was you or Mom, but it was him. I clenched my jaws so hard that my temples throbbed. Who is he? His name is Daniel. He, Mom's friend. Those words pierced my chest like a red-hot knife. What did he do? Emily sobbed and looked away. He sat on the bed, touched my face, said that I was very beautiful, that I'm growing up to be just like Mom. I closed my eyes. Hold back. Not now. He said, if I was a good girl and didn't misbehave, he would teach me everything a grown-up girl should know. Her voice nearly broke. She took a sharp breath. And then he put his hand on my thigh. Everything inside me exploded. Did you scream? Yes. I screamed and tried to get away, but he covered my mouth. She inhaled sharply, as if reliving the moment. He said that if I told anyone, he would tell Mom that I seduced him, and then she would kick me out of the house. I slowly straightened up. A storm was rising inside me. Where is he now? He stayed at home with Mom. They were laughing when I ran out. I took a deep breath, trying not to lose control. You did well coming to me, sweetheart. You're safe. I slowly unbuttoned my shirt sleeves, rolling them up to my elbows. My heart pounded like a drum before battle. We'll go home, Emily. But first, I approached the safe in the wall and opened it. The metal pleasantly cooled my hand. Emily looked at me anxiously. Dad, what are you going to do? I turned to her and smiled for the first time. I'm going to show that bastard who's the boss in this house. I flung the door open so forcefully that it banged against the wall. The echoing sound spread through the house, but no one stirred. Sarah was sitting on the sofa, snuggling up to Daniel, a tall, broad-shouldered man in his 40s. His shirt was unbuttoned, revealing a firm chest, and a smirk played on his lips, the smirk of a man who considers himself unsinkable. In his right hand, he held a glass of whiskey, casually swirling the amber liquid. You're late, Drew. Time for changes. I froze in the doorway, half a step from exploding. Inside, everything was boiling, but I kept myself in check. For now, where's Emily? I asked calmly. Sarah made a move as if to stand up, but Daniel easily pulled her back, leaned toward her ear, and whispered something. She giggled, although doubt flickered in her eyes. In the car, I said myself, far from this crap. Daniel leaned back on the sofa back, smirking. Well, then you're not as dumb as you seem. You know how to anticipate a situation. He took a sip of whiskey and set the glass on the glass table, placing his hand on Sarah's thigh. Ostentatiously, Drew, let's talk. She started, but I looked at her in such a way that she stopped mid-sentence. You allowed this bastard into our house. Sarah flinched, but Daniel just smirked. Don't talk like that, buddy. This is my house now. I slowly stepped forward. One step, then another. You're mistaken, buddy, I said in an icy tone. His smirk widened. Oh, you want to play the alpha male? He sighed carelessly. Sarah told me you're a former Special Forces operative, but I'm not impressed. I took another step, and his hand tightened on Sarah's thigh, as if testing my reaction. Tested. I struck first. A right hook hit him squarely in the jaw, and his head jerked to the side. The whiskey from his glass splattered across the table. Daniel was thrown back, the couch creaking under his weight. You motherfucker, he roared, grabbing his face. But I didn't give him a chance to recover. I grabbed him by the collar and yanked him off the couch, lifting him off the floor. You made a mistake. I slammed him against the wall. Books fell from the shelf. He wasn't weak. With a powerful jerk, he tore my hand away and immediately struck me in the stomach. Pain spread like a wave, but I didn't give him the upper hand. A left elbow met his solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping for air. You, bastard, he managed through clenched teeth. I grabbed him by the neck and threw him over the coffee table. The glass shattered into pieces. He hissed in pain, slowly getting up. Fear was in his eyes, but also anger. You have no idea who you're messing with, he growled, spitting blood. I stepped toward him, but something soft slammed into my side. Don't touch him, Sarah shrieked, hanging on to me, her nails digging into my shoulders. She was protecting him. Run, Dan, she cried out. Daniel rushed to the side table by the door, grabbed the car keys, and sprinted to the exit. I shook Sarah off, and she fell to her knees, choking on her screams. But I didn't care. That bastard wasn't getting away. I dashed to the exit, but it was too late. Daniel burst out of the house, slamming the door so hard the glass in the frame rattled. I chased after him, but heard the engine roar. He was already in the car. Damn it, I roared, jumping over the threshold. Tires screeched as he tore away. The headlights blinded me, and for a fraction of a second, I froze, trying to see where Emily was. But she wasn't in the car. Only then did I notice her silhouette in the back seat. She was pounding on the window, screaming something through the noise of the engine. He had taken my daughter. I felt a cold terror grip me with icy fingers, then turned to fury. Stop, you bitch! I yelled, rushing forward. I sprinted to my car, yanked at the door. It was locked. The keys? Inside. Bring her back, you bastard. My voice was so beastly, even Sarah flinched. Daniel just sped up, gravel flying from the tires. I spun around and locked eyes with Sarah. She stood like a statue, her eyes glassy with shock. What have you done? I breathed out, feeling my fingers involuntarily clench into fists. I didn't. She blinked. as if only now realizing what had happened. "You took Emily, you stupid bitch." I stepped toward her, and she stepped back, but no further. Her lips trembled. She turned sharply, ran inside, and grabbed the phone. "Done?" "Dan, damn it, pick up." "Dial tones." I pressed my temples, trying not to shatter the damned reality. "Call again." Her hands trembling, she pressed redial. "Dial tones." "Please." "Done?" "Don't do anything stupid." "Dial tones." "Call again." I barked, bursting into the house. She obeyed, but her shoulders shook with fear. "He's not picking up." I snatched the phone from her hands and smashed it against the wall. Sarah shrieked, but I was already in front of her. "You were praying he'd come back?" I hissed through clenched teeth. "You hoped he would call?" She sobbed. I didn't think he... You didn't think." I roared, towering over her. "You let a predator into our home and didn't think he would bite." She covered her face with her hands as if that could erase what had happened. "Oh, now you regret it?" My voice was venomous. "Now, when that fucker has taken our daughter, now you regret it." I didn't want. I stared her down. "Pray, Sarah. Pray that I find him before he does something you can never fix." She fell to her knees, covering her face, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. But I didn't care. I grabbed the keys to the second car from the closet, slammed the door behind me, and disappeared into the night. I rushed into the garage, snatched the keys to the old off-roader, and got behind the wheel. My hand was shaking, but not from fear. It was from the furious anger eating me up inside. I turned the ignition, grabbed the phone, and immediately dialed the number. Beeps. 1, 2, 3. "Charlie, pick up the phone, damn it." I muttered, pounding my fist on the steering wheel. "Drew?" Finally, a sleepy voice came through on the other end. "Charlie, get your ass up. That bastard Daniel has kidnapped Emily." A second of silence before Charlie's voice turned as hard as stone. "Where are you?" "I'm in the car, pulling out." "Have you seen his car?" "Black Dodge Challenger. Looks like out-of-state plates. He came by recently, asking questions about you." I didn't like him from the start. It hit me like a lightning strike. "What kind of questions?" "Who you are, what you did before, why you keep to yourself. That kind of crap." He was planning something, Drew. It wasn't random. "Shit. All right, listen." I gripped the steering wheel. "Head to the gas station on the highway. If he's bailed, he might go there, grab something for the road. Check the cameras if you can." "Will do." "What about you?" I pulled over to the side of the road, took a deep breath. "I'm going to get everything Sarah knows out of her." "Make it quick, Drew. If that bastard dare to do this, he won't stop." "I know." I hung up, shoved the phone into my pocket, and without turning off the engine, returned to the house. Sarah was sitting on the floor, back pressed against the sofa. Her eyes swollen, hands shaking. She didn't dare even look at me. I approached her slowly, like a predator about to pounce. "Talk. Everything." She sobbed, cradling her head in her hands. "I don't know." I grabbed her by the shoulders and lifted her, forcing her to look me in the eyes. "Did you know who he was?" She turned away. I shook her. "Answer, Sarah." I knew he wasn't who he claimed to be," she whispered, tears again streaming down her cheeks. "But you let him into our home?" She nodded silently. "How long have you been with him?" "A couple of months." "A lie." I punched the wall, creating a dent. "Don't lie to me." She sobbed, biting her lip. 6 months. I exhaled through clenched teeth. "Do you even know who he is?" She lowered her head. "I thought he was just a businessman." I laughed. Dull, hoarse, without a trace of humor. "A businessman? Are you fucking serious?" "Sarah, he just kidnapped our daughter." She clamped her ears, as if trying not to hear the truth. I leaned closer, forcing her to look me in the eyes. "What did he tell you? About himself? About his past?" She trembled, but responded, "That he worked in finance. That he had friends who could help if I ever wanted a better life." I froze. "You said friends? What the fuck friends?" She silently looked at me, fear in her eyes. I don't know. He said he had connections." "Connections." I stepped back, a mechanism clicking in my head. Daniel wasn't just a bastard lacking someone else's wife. He was part of something bigger. And now he had my daughter. The phone rang sharply, like a gunshot in the silence. I looked at the screen. An unknown number. But I already knew who it was. My heart pounded against my ribs, and my fingers automatically pressed answer. Drew, buddy, good to hear from you. Daniel's voice was calm, mocking, as if he were calling an old friend for a beer. Where's my daughter? My voice was low, cold, but boiling inside. He chuckled. Oh, she's here with me. A bit scared, of course, but I explained that you'll sort everything out soon, and then we can bring her home. I clenched my jaws so hard my teeth ached. What do you want? Money, of course. $200,000. I silently processed the information. For what? For your daughter, and to ensure I don't break her neck. Blood froze in my veins. In that moment, I knew I would kill him. I squeezed the phone so hard the plastic creaked. How do I know she's alive? One moment, there was a rustling sound, and then Emily's quivering, faltering voice. Daddy, Emily. I clung to the phone as if I could reach her through the wires. Where are you? Did he touch you? I. Fear was in her voice. He said if you try anything, he'll hurt me. Enough, sweetheart, it'll get you. How touching. Daniel's voice returned. You've always been such a caring daddy, Drew. But listen carefully now. I clench my fists. I want to repeat myself. 200,000. Cash. You bring it yourself, alone. Any tricks, and the girl disappears. Where? They'll tell you once you've got the money. You have 12 hours. Daniel, if you lay a finger on her, they'll find you. And then no amount of money will help you. He laughed. Oh, Drew, old boy. Do you really think you scare me? You're not the man you used to be. Now you're just a tired, pathetic man whose wife traded him in for me. I didn't respond. 12 hours, Drew. Don't screw this up. Dial tones. I stood, clutching the phone, then hurled it against the wall. The device shattered into pieces. Oh God. Sarah covered her mouth, her eyes brimming with tears. I grabbed her by the wrist, squeezing a bit harder than necessary. Did he often talk about money? She trembled. No. He knew you had a business, he asked. Are you stupid or just blind? I pushed her away, and she collapsed onto the sofa. I reached for the second phone, pulled up the necessary contact, and dialed. 2 rings. Talk. I closed my eyes, hearing a voice I hadn't heard in 5 years. I need help, Mike. A pause. What happened? I exhaled with difficulty. That bastard kidnapped my daughter. I need to get her out, then erase him from the face of the earth. A second of silence, then a short reply. I'm in. Where are you? A wave of relief washed over me. Come to the house. Bring the guys. And the guns. I tossed the phone onto the table, turning to Sarah. You want a new life? You're going to get it, but you'll see exactly how it will look. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. I already knew what to do. I stood in the center of the room, breathing deeply and evenly, trying to hold myself back from blind rage. But inside, everything was boiling. Daniel, that bastard kidnapped my daughter. I looked at Sarah. She sat on the sofa, curled up, her gaze extinguished, as if trying to disappear. When did he tell you he had connections? My voice was low, hard, and motionless. Sarah didn't respond immediately. When, Sarah? I stepped closer. She recoiled back as if I was about to hit her. I don't remember exactly. A couple of weeks ago, he said that if I wanted something more, he had friends who could help. I closed my eyes, gripping my jeans belt to avoid smashing everything nearby. Those friends. Did he say who they were? She swallowed nervously. Some people. I didn't ask. He said he could get anything, money, documents, protection. I felt a cold realization growing inside me. This wasn't just some random bastard. This bastard was working for someone. I turned around, pulled out a second phone from a drawer, an old model, not linked to my number, kept for emergencies. Call Mike. Where are you? I asked without preamble. 10 minutes. His voice was as steady and hard as ever. I brought Blake and Rick. Do you need heavy artillery? I hesitated for a second. Bring it. But let's keep our distance for now. I need to figure out what he's planning. Mike exhaled shortly. You're off base, brother. We both know what he wants. He was right. Money. I clenched my teeth. We'll give him what he wants. But we'll take everything he has. What's the plan? We'll play his game. Show that I'm scared. Bring the money. And then, I looked at Sarah, who sat pale as a ghost. And then I'll finish him. Silence. Haven't heard you like this in a long time, Drew, Mike finally said. Sounds like ITLL be fun. I didn't respond. We'll be at your house in 10 minutes. Keep your phone on. Dial tones. I inhaled and exhaled. Time to gather the money. I turned and headed to the office. Sarah jumped to her feet. Are you really going to give him the money? I stopped at the threshold, slowly turned around. Are you serious right now? Her lips trembled. I'll bring Emily back then, right? I stared at her, feeling nothing but contempt. Do you really think that if I give him the money, he'll just return our daughter and disappear? Sarah slumped as if struck. I waved my hand. Enough. Shut up. You're no help to me now. I entered the office, turned on the light, inserted the key into the safe. 200,000. He would get the money, but he wouldn't live to spend it. I opened the safe, the cold metal responding in my palm as I turned the key. Inside were bundles of $100 bills, neatly packed in a canvas bag. $200,000, the price for my daughter's life. Nonsense. This wasn't a deal. It was a stupid show Daniel believed in wholeheartedly, but it wouldn't end the way he expected. I scooped up the money, zipped up the bag, and slung it over my shoulder. I paused for a moment, staring into the depths of the safe. There, in the far corner, lay an old Army Glock 17. Reliable, tested by years, a friend that never misfired. I reached out, grasped the handle. The weight felt familiar, as if the gun had been waiting for this moment as much as I had. You can't just go there with a gun, Drew. I slowly turned around. Sarah stood in the doorway, pale, her eyes reddened from tears. And you're not to tell me what to do. She swallowed, nervously fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. You don't understand. If you do something stupid, I stepped toward her sharply, and she recoiled like a frightened animal. Stupid? I hissed, invading her personal space, making her feel my fury. It was stupid to let that jackal into our house. It was stupid to let him get anywhere near Emily. She gasped sharply, but didn't back away further. I didn't think he would. You didn't think at all. I grabbed her chin, lifting it to force her to look into my eyes. That bastard took our daughter, Sarah, and I will get her back. But when I do, he won't be walking away. I released her, grabbed the phone from the table, and headed for the exit. Where are you going? To meet your buddy, since you loved him so much. She clutched at my arm, grabbed it, trying to stop me. Please, don't do anything. Just give him the money, get Emily back. And that's it. I turned around, looking down at her. That's it. I laughed bitterly. You really believe he'll just take the money and disappear? You think I'll let that happen? Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. I shrugged off her hand and stepped out the door. Mike was already waiting for me at the gate. Tall, solid, with the predatory look of a fighter who's seen shit normal people can't even imagine. Behind him were Rick and Blake, two Bruises ID once worked with. What did he say to do? Mike asked, wasting no time. I threw the bag of money onto the hood of his car. Exchange, one-on-one. First confirmation that Emily is alive, then the money. Do you think he'll let her go? No. Mike smirked, patted his jacket where his pistol was hidden. Then why the play? I took a deep breath, clenched my jaw, so he doesn't realize we're coming for him. So he feels safe. And then, I looked him straight in the eye. He'll blow his brains out. Mike nodded. Like old times. Yes, like the damn old times. We drove to the meeting spot without headlights, through dark streets, like predators sneaking up on prey. Inside the car was tense silence. Only the faint hum of the engine and the muted breathing of Rick and Blake in the back seat. Mike drove, focused, his fingers relaxed, but I knew, if anything went wrong, he'd pull the trigger faster than you can blink. Where's the meet? He asked in an even voice, not taking his eyes off the road. Old cargo platform outside the town. Daniel wants me to come alone. And you're really going to do that? I smiled. Of course. Mike chuckled. You haven't changed a bit. I didn't respond. The meeting place was exactly as ID pictured it. An abandoned loading area, storage hangars, rusty containers half buried in sand and dust. Complete darkness. Only a lonely lamp at the entrance flickered with a dull yellow light, barely slicing through the darkness. Mike slowed down 100 meters from the spot, killed the engine. Well, hang back, he said, pulling out his pistol and checking the ammunition. You'll signal us? If needed. I got out of the car, took the bag of money, and moved forward, feeling the night air cutting through my lungs. Meeting Daniel was already waiting. He leaned casually against the hood of his Challenger, hands tucked into the pockets of his leather jacket. Dark jeans, boots, a slight smirk on his face. He looked as if he was just waiting for a friend to grab a drink with. But I saw how his right hand was slightly closer to his side, where people typically carry a weapon. Next to him, handcuffed, stood Emily, my daughter. I almost physically felt something break inside me. Her face was pale, lips still trembling with fear. On her cheek, a darkening mark from a hit. He had hit her. Bastard. I stepped closer. You took her hostage, Daniel. This isn't just about the money anymore. He laughed and shook his head. You've always been so predictable, Drew. Always ready to save everyone but yourself. I clenched the bag, try not to lose it right there and then. You wanted the money? Here it is. Let the girl go. He nodded, but didn't move from his spot. Drop it on the ground. I did. He pushed off from the hood and walked forward slowly. You see, Drew, the problem is that I don't believe you. I froze. You're too quiet. Too calm. Like you're plotting something. He stood directly in front of me, sizing me up. So, tell me, are we alone here, or is someone else hiding in the shadows? I smiled. You talk too much, Daniel. Maybe just take the cash and run. He tilted his head, his smirk widening. You know what always pissed me off about people like you? You act like you have everything under control. But in reality, he pulled out a gun and pointed it at my forehead. You've already lost. I felt Mike, behind me, tighten his grip on the trigger. It began. The showdown starts, the gun barrel pressed against my forehead, the cold metal instantly biting into my skin. Daniel was smiling. You know how this world works, Drew? His voice was as self-satisfied as ever. It doesn't matter how tough you are, how strong you are. What matters is who pulls the trigger first. I felt every second, every fraction of a moment. My daughter stood aside, trembling, scared, with eyes filled with fear, but also hope. She looked at me as if believing that I would pull her out of this nightmare. Do you really think you can walk out of here alive, Daniel? I whispered, not taking my eyes off him. Oh yes, he smirked. He'll walk out of here with the money. And you, your story ends right here. Click. His finger began to move down on the trigger. I acted faster. With my left hand, I grabbed his wrist, jerked it aside, directing the gun away from me. Simultaneously, I punched him in the jaw with all the strength I had built up over these days. Crunch. Daniel staggered backward, blood spurting from his mouth, but I didn't stop. I twisted his arm, wrenching the wrist, forcing the gun to drop. Papa! Emily cried out. I threw Daniel down, turned to my daughter. Go. Run to that Jeep. There's a friend there. He'll take you to a safe place. She hesitated. Papa, but you... Listen to me, sweetheart. I'll catch up to you. I couldn't let her stay. Emily broke into a run across the dark platform. Mike was already waiting. He sprang from behind a container, intercepted Emily, and quickly led her to the car. Safety. Now I could focus on the main issue. I turned back to Daniel, who was crawling on the asphalt, choking on blood, holding his broken jaw. You bastard, he rasped. I slowly approached him, picked up his gun, and reloaded. You made a mistake, Daniel. He tried to crawl backward, but I stepped on his chest, pinning him to the ground. You touched my daughter. Did you think you could get away with it? I saw the terror in his eyes. He realized he wouldn't make it out alive. I pressed down on his chest with my boot, feeling him struggle, but he had no strength left. Don't like being on the bottom. Huh? I hissed, leaning closer so he could see my smile. Daniel gasped, trying to grab my leg, but I sharply kicked him in the stomach, forcing him to curl up and groan. You thought it would all go differently, huh? I crouched next to him, placing the gun on the asphalt and pulling out a military knife from behind my belt. The steel gleamed in the light of a distant lamp. His eyes widened. Drew, listen, let's make a deal. I took his left hand, turned the palm upwards. Didn't you make a deal with my daughter, right? Told her you'd teach her everything a grown-up girl should know? He shook his head, breathing raggedly. I just scared her. I wasn't going to... I tightly gripped his little finger, twisted it until I heard the tendon snap. Daniel howled, writhing under me, but I pinned him down with my knee, not letting him move. You know, I've been in hot spots. I spoke quietly. And do you know the worst torture? It's not killing right away. It starts with the little things. I took the knife, placed the blade at the base of his little finger. No, Drew. He squirmed even harder, but I pressed the knife deeper into the flesh. The skin split, blood immediately filled the cut, but I moved slowly, deliberately prolonging the moment. Please, they'll do anything. He choked out a scream as I sliced off the finger with one swift motion. The first. He trembled, his body contorting in agonizing convulsions. Bitch, this is just the beginning. I held up his little finger in front of his eyes. See, this is what you lose when you touch someone else's. I tossed the finger on the asphalt, then moved on to the next. Daniel sobbed, his breathing erratic, but he still tried to bargain. Drew, stop, please. I'll tell you everything you want to know. I nodded as if agreeing. Good. Then tell me, did you feel just as tough when you invaded my family? When you humiliated me in my own home? When you beat my daughter? I took his ring finger and pressed the blade sharply into it, cutting through skin, muscle, bone. Crunch. Daniel screamed, arching from the pain. The second. Oh God. Oh God. Drew, please stop. I didn't. I took his middle finger, paused for a moment, watching his body writhe in convulsions, drenched in his own sweat and blood. You picked the wrong family, Daniel. And with a sharp motion, I cut off the third finger. His scream must have carried for miles. Daniel thrashed on the ground like a wounded rat, his face so pale it seemed the blood had stopped circulating. Sweat rolled down his forehead, his chest heaved with spasmodic breaths. I looked down at his hand. 3 fingers already lay beside him in a pool of blood. 2 more to go. Damn, he rasped, gasping for breath. Drew, I paused, sensing something else in the air. A smell. I realized what had happened before I saw it. The bastard had shit himself. From the pain. From fear. From the realization that he wasn't getting out. I slowly exhaled, feeling my rage turn to disdain. So brave you were. Such a smug smile. Are you serious, Daniel? I shook my head, a slight smirk forming. You shat yourself? He sobbed, twitching, his pants wet from sweat, urine, and feces. Please. I leaned in close to him, looking directly into his pain-dulled eyes. You thought you were the alpha. Huh? So tough, so strong, that you could demean others? He gasped, flinched, but I pressed my boot into his chest, pinning him to the ground. Now look at yourself, clown. You stink like a cowardly cur. Where's all your toughness now? Where's all your bravado? He sobbed, coughing up blood in convulsions. Please. I grabbed his hair, jerked his head up, forcing him to look at his own hand, severed like dry branches. Do you think I'm going to let you go? He shook his head, his lips twitching frantically. Yes. Yes. God, Drew, just let me go. I smirked. Let you go. I glanced down at his mangled hand. Fine. And I grabbed his remaining index finger. He howled like a wounded dog. No. But I was relentless. The last finger was his last chance. I started cutting. Rain drizzled down, pooling on black umbrellas, gathering on a marble slab engraved with the name Daniel Grayson. A crowd gathered around the fresh grave, faces somber, eyes downcast. Some came out of curiosity, others out of a sense of duty, but no one felt real sorrow. I stood in the front row, my palm clenched into a fist, lips trembling. Feigned grief, so apparent even a blind man would notice the falsehood. Today we say goodbye to Daniel, a man of great ambitions and complicated character. I wiped a tear from the corner of my eye, sighed, shook my head, feigning genuine pain of loss. What a pity. How unfair that this world has lost someone who, undoubtedly, left a mark on the hearts of many. Some in the crowd shifted uneasily. Someone coughed, hiding a smirk. I looked up at the sky, as if seeking answers, and continued with a sad tone. This is a great loss for all of us. Such a great soul of a person. I suddenly fell silent. A moment of silence. Then I smiled. My tone changed sharply, my voice cold and mocking. The corners of my mouth twitched into a smirk that shattered all pretense of grief. Though, let's be honest, I sighed loudly, sweeping my gaze over the crowd. Such scum as he didn't manage to ruin everyone's life. No one breathed. I shrugged, folded my arms across my chest, tilted my head as if pondering. Well, may his soul rest where it deserves. I crossed my fingers, bowed my head, and calmly added, Amen. Then I abruptly turned to face the pastor. He froze. His lips trembled, as if he wanted to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. I slowly smirked, clapped him on the shoulder, and, as I passed by, I remarked, "The service was decent, Pastor." Very heartfelt. Behind me stood a crowd, all silent, stunned, overwhelmed, and only I walked away from the cemetery with lightness in my heart. I leisurely walked to the cemetery exit, feeling the stares, some shocked, others judging, but there were those that showed silent approval. Yes, some knew who Daniel really was. They just didn't have the courage to say it out loud. But I did. At the end of the path, my car waited. A black Cadillac Escalade, gleaming, massive, like a moving monument of authority. It had that look that told onlookers, "I came, I saw, and if I don't like something, I don't care what you think." The driver already stood by, holding the door open. "Mr. Hunt, the car is ready." I nodded, lightly smoothing the sleeve of my black coat, and got inside. The leather seats welcomed me as their own. The smell of natural leather and expensive tobacco mingled in the air. I slowly pulled out dark sunglasses from my pocket, put them on, adjusted my shirt cuff, and calmly said, "Home." The driver nodded respectfully and gently pulled away. The return home the city flashed by the window, streets bustling with streams of cars. But inside my car, absolute silence reigned. I could have played some music, something classical, Mozart, or perhaps something more fitting the mood. Rolling Stones, Paint It Black. But I enjoyed the silence now. I was heading to Emily. Home, where we now lived together, was a place where you could breathe fully. And Sarah? Oh, Sarah too was living her new life. I hadn't left her completely without a roof over her head. No, that would have been too cruel. I was a man capable of forgiveness. After all, she just betrayed me. Just let a jackal into my home, who stole our daughter. Just broke our family. But I had mercy on her. I allocated her a place to live. An old garage on the outskirts of the city, somewhere between auto repair shops and abandoned warehouses. It used to belong to me. I used it as a temporary storage for tools, but then I decided it was perfect for her. The driver glanced at me briefly in the rearview mirror. "Mr. Hunt, shall we stop by Mrs. Hunt's?" I smirked, shaking my head. "Ex-Mrs. Hunt. And no, not today. And not that noble." He said nothing, but the corners of his mouth twitched slightly upward. He understood. When I first took Sarah to her new home, she stood there, looking around at the peeling walls, concrete floor, and the steel garage lift that creaked like a funeral march. "Are you serious?" Her voice trembled. I grinned broadly, looking at her from beneath my sunglasses. "What? You want a penthouse?" She blinked, trying to grasp the reality. "Drew, this isn't even an apartment." "Well, I don't know. Sarah, I think it has its charm." I stepped inside, surveying the concrete walls. Open floor plan, excellent view of the industrial area. And the best part, quiet neighbors. She clutched her head, groaned. "Are you mocking me?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice to a cold, almost whispering tone. "I left you a place to live." She looked up at me. "You left me a garage, Drew." I leaned in closer, eye to eye, and you left me with a hole in my chest. She stood silently, her lips trembling, no longer any defiance in her eyes. I slapped her on the shoulder, stepped back, and smiled broadly. "So enjoy." Now she lived there, like a pitiful shadow of herself. I checked my watch. Soon I would see my daughter, and nothing else mattered anymore. The car smoothly turned onto our street, where the light from street lamps scattered the remnants of evening darkness. The house was quiet, warm, real, the only place where I felt alive. I removed my glasses, put them in my coat pocket, and stepped out of the car. The driver nodded respectfully, but I was no longer looking at him. My gaze was fixed on the windows on the second floor. The light was on. Emily wasn't asleep. I sighed, feeling the weight of the last few days gradually slide off my shoulders. I entered, took off my coat, and slowly walked upstairs. When I peered into the room, she was already waiting for me. "Daughter, Papa!" Emily rushed to me, wrapped her arms around me, buried her face in my chest. "Are you okay?" she whispered. I smiled, inhaling the scent of her hair, feeling my heart finally beat steadily. "I'm home. And Mom, I gently pulled back, looked into her eyes. She's where she needs to be. Emily nodded. Is it just us now? Just us, sweetheart. She smiled, but there was still some unclear question flickering in her eyes. You're not leaving again? I shook my head. Never. We stood like that for a few more seconds. Then I lightly tapped her nose with my finger. Now off to bed. We're going to have a good day tomorrow. She nodded, turned around, climbed into bed. I covered her with the blanket, turned off the light. Just as I stepped toward the exit, my phone rang. I pulled it out, looked at the screen. Mike. I smirked, pressed the answer button. Talk to me. Hey, buddy. There was a smirk in my friend's voice. I heard you're good at dealing with lovers and wives. Think I could use your services? I stifled a laugh. You got problems, Mike? Not me. But it seems the world still has a couple of assholes who could use a good lesson. I closed my eyes, smiled. Ever thought of starting your own unofficial agency for taking down jerks? Mike laughed. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? I slowly nodded, looking out the dark window. You know, maybe that's actually a good idea.